Yes, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on After GMS. I'm Tracy McCain here with Sydney Moore. And in the other box, we have meteorologists Christian Morgan and Ed Matthews. It is Thursday, March 31st, and a day of some pretty nasty weather in our area.
Could be.
And just like you're saying, Tracy, you know, Christian and Ed, that's why it's important for folks to stay weather aware and be prepared.
Yeah, just always one of those things where we want you to stay weather aware, and we'd rather be prepared just in case. Now again, not a guarantee that we get strong or severe storms, but it is a possibility. You should take a live look right now over Wendover Avenue in Greensboro. Of course, you can see that wind already whipping around. Those gusts have been anywhere on the order of 35, close to 40 miles per hour in some locations this morning. And the first thing you notice when you step outside is how warm and how muggy and how windy it is. And it just kind of has that feeling to it, like the weather is not going to be that great today, like the weather is starting to change. And that's what we'll be dealing with, of course, as we go into the afternoon. We will have that storm chance. Notice even that camera there in downtown High Point blowing around and the breeze kind of shaking around. Temperatures warm and muggy. 68 in High Point right now. 61 is the dew point, so the air is really juicy. And we're getting all of this warm and juicy air filling in from the south, all ahead of this cold front. We have a high offshore, and of course ahead of that front, the winds and the warm air kind of surge to the north. And that's what we're seeing. Of course, pretty easy to note where that cold front is, now out over Tennessee with plenty of cold air ready to move in behind that. But first we deal with rain and we deal with some thunderstorms. Now here's the big system. It's been wreaking havoc across the deep south over the last 24 hours. Tons of tornado warnings in Mississippi, tornado warnings in Alabama, and just a crazy amount of wind damage reports from this system across the south and for areas out to the west, and numerous power outages from our to our states out west. So that's something we'll be keeping an eye on, and that's not even because of thunderstorms. That's just because of the high winds even outside of thunderstorms. Right now the Triad is still dry, covered up in clouds. We are seeing that line of rain and storms starting to push through the mountains and into western North Carolina as well. And all of us at this point now are in a level 2 out of 5 for severe weather as we go throughout the middle of the day and into the early afternoon. Yesterday, we were in that level 1 with a level 2 just to our north and another level 2 area to our south. Those areas have been combined now to include our entire area. So here's the big setup as that cold front rolls through. Ahead of that, we have that line of rain and thunderstorms that's with us through midday and early afternoon. And then as we go into late this evening, we'll start to clear things out. In fact, I think we'll see some sunshine and get our temperatures up into the 70s, but it's still going to be windy, and the wind is really our big issue, even outside of rain or thunderstorms, gusting 35 to 45 miles per hour. High pressure does build in though to save the day and bring us back to quiet weather as we get into the weekend. Your Friday's still windy, and your Saturday will still likely be a bit breezy as well. Here's a look at it on Futurecast as we go through in time. A few scattered showers are possible earlier this morning. Then that main timing we're watching from 9 a.m. up until about 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And I really think the heart of this line is going to move through the Triad around 10, 11, 12 o'clock, and then starting to move out with our points to the east a little on the later side of that timing. Notice how we do clear things out though as we go into the afternoon. So far, max wind gusts today again have been on the order of 30 to 40 miles per hour, and this will continue as we go into the afternoon. And really the wind sticks with us tonight into your Friday as well. It does relax a bit overnight, but winds will still gust on the order of 20 to 25 miles per hour, and then gusting up to 30 miles per hour again going into your Friday. Of course, any of those storms, if they do turn strong or severe, our main concern would be for a couple damaging wind gusts. We also have that low tornado risk that we'll have to monitor as well. And of course, it goes without saying, anywhere where it rains really heavy for a long amount of time, we could have some localized flash flooding concerns, but that's not a big a concern as the wind today. Here's a nice neat graphic that all ties it up for you nice and neat. We have scattered showers this morning, watching for those thunderstorms in the afternoon, windy all day, clearing out as we go into this evening. And the quiet weather will greet us as we go into the weekend with sunshine and temperatures in the upper 60s Friday, mid 60s Saturday, back close to 70 Sunday and Monday.
All right, so of course, this brings us to the conversation about the threat of severe weather. You, of course, want to be prepared.
And during these times, we want to remind you, of course, just like we were saying, to be safe and be weather aware. And that includes having a plan in place and knowing where to go if you are stuck in a storm.
It helps to eliminate some of the panic that people can inevitably feel during an emergency. So if you already kind of know your game plan, then that can help you feel like you've got a little bit more control and a little bit more calm in that situation.
All right, so take a look at this chart that our team of meteorologists put together. It really shows you where you want to be in case of severe weather, especially a tornado. The big takeaway here is you want to be on the lowest level possible and in a room with the least amount of windows.
One thing you can take in there with you is maybe a pillow or a jacket or a blanket that you can put over your head to protect yourself from flying debris. But we really want you to be interior, away from doors and windows.
If you're outside during a tornado, maybe you are not at work or in your house or in a restaurant or the store, maybe you're on the road and you can't find shelter. They say avoid bridges or overpasses in this case because the wind can be more powerful around these areas. And if you're driving, park your car right away. Keep your seatbelt on and crouch below the windows until the storm passes. These are great tips, and I know you guys have more. So let's get to our meteorologist right now. Give us all the tips you have about being prepared for severe weather.
Yeah, go ahead, Ed.
Well, I was just thinking as you were reading that, Tracy, and I really looked at this when I moved into my condo building because I'm not on the ground level and I don't have a basement. As a matter of fact, I'm up off the ground on the 3rd floor. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's a safe place. There are safer places in my condo, like a closet or something like that. But the stairways, we have an elevator, but we also have a north side stairway and a south side at the building. Nothing but concrete there. And that is where I would go. I would go in the stairway of either the north end or the south end of the building. And thankfully, I'm pretty close to the stairway. So I think that's a safe place. And the thing that really, I think, helps is the fact that there's concrete all around.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we talked about it earlier on the Good Morning Show. And really the worst place to be in a tornado or a severe storm situation is the top level apartment or maybe in a mobile home. So if you do live on a top level apartment, maybe if you have some friends or family that live on the bottom level, ground level, or if you live in a mobile home, if you have friends or family that live not far away in maybe a house, that's really the safest place to be. And of course, always find that most inner room in your home away from doors and windows. A basement is always the best place if you have it. If you don't have that, maybe a coat closet in the middle of the house. And if you don't really have one of those good areas that you think that's separated by many walls, honestly, what a lot of people in Florida do, get in the bathtub, hunker down in the bathtub.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you bring up a good point. When we had the Sanford-Raleigh tornado back in 2011 that went right through my mom's neighborhood, a lady across the street, her and her dog got in a bathtub.
Yeah.
The tornado that went through sent her 150 feet away from her house.
Wow.
She was safe in the tornado because she got in the bathtub. She landed about 150 feet away from where her house was, and she was safe. Bathtub's a great place. And also stay away from windows as well, because with debris flying, and we're talking about big heavy objects, you know, crashing into windows and things like that. That was another. I learned a lot. I mean, I knew this stuff, but when we had the Sanford tornado, it brought it home. It really brought what we do as severe weather coverage, it brought it home. And just seeing how things unfolded in my childhood neighborhood really just kind of reinforced the message to me.
Yeah, and the idea is to really separate yourself with several walls.
Yes.
You know, that's kind of the idea. And also, you know, we tell it to you when we're on the air in any kind of tornado situation. If you have to go into that safe spot, shoes, make sure you're wearing shoes. You never want to walk out onto debris after it's fallen in bare feet. And honestly, wear a helmet. Anything to protect your head or protect your eyes is always going to be a great call. And again, just to be prepared and be on the safe side, we'd rather you be prepared and, you know, ready at the go than not.
Yeah, people may be thinking, oh my goodness, is it going to be that bad? Preparation.
Yeah.
Being prepared. Maybe we could get real lucky and get through and not have any real severe weather today. But the key, and again, the tornado in Sanford brought this home, be prepared. You got to have a game plan. You got to know what, you can't think about it. You can't spend time thinking about where to go. You've got to react real quick when that tornado is approaching your area. It'll save your life.
And I'll say this too real quick. You know, we talked about this a lot, but this is not to say that every single person in the Triad today is going to get a strong thunderstorm. But there could be one or two, maybe three thunderstorms that get bumpy and get on the strong or severe side. And those would be the ones that could produce a damaging wind gust or or maybe a brief tornado. So not everybody's going to get that. I don't want people to think this is some widespread, you know, severe storm event, but there is a possibility of a few of those.
And along with staying prepared, just like you said, it's also important to make sure you download that weather news, our News 2 Weather app, so you can also stay alert.
Yeah.
Well, the great thing about it, and I've got it right here in my hand, is your cell phone. You download that app and you've got your own weather station right there in the palm of your hand. Not only can you see live radar and you can track the storms with us, of course, tornado warnings, we go live. We're right on the air showing you on radar what's going on. But that's like having a weather station in the palm of your hand. Any tornado watches or warnings that are issued, severe thunderstorm warnings issued, it comes right to your phone. So you got it right there in the palm of your hand.
And if we're on TV for warnings, you know, we're going to be streaming it on all of our digital channels, and we actually stream it on that app too. So if you have to go into your safe spot and you can't watch it on TV, you can just take this with you, and you can actually flip back watching the coverage, and you can actually look at the radar and see some of the same things that we're seeing too. So it's a great tool to have.
It's like having you in the palm of your hand. Ed, what's it going to do today? And then your phone talks to you.
Well. Talk to me, Ed. Talk to me.
Give me the forecast. No, but seriously, people are taking your tips very seriously, and they are writing about them in our feed, saying, you know, make sure you hold on to your small dogs, or something that Bobby Odom kind of reiterated that you said, Christian. But seriously, making sure that you do have your pets with you during severe weather, because we don't want them to get lost in the fray as well, especially if you have to seek shelter immediately. I did ask on here, what is your severe weather game plan? Where's your safe spot? Our Brian said the hall bathroom in his house, probably because it's in the interior part of his house without any windows, which, as you guys mentioned, is a good spot to have. And Debbie Isley said she has a plan to walk in the closet, or has a walk-in closet that she'll go into with her cat, Roxy. Again, keeping those pets right with you during severe weather.
Yeah, those are great tips and great tools. And again, a coat closet in the middle of the hallway is always going to be good if you don't have a basement or you don't have kind of a lower level room that you can go to. An inner room, hallway, coat closet is going to be great too. And when we have a storm shelter or a safe spot here in the station, we've actually had to use it during tornado coverage here before. So again, just a good idea to review that with your family, whether it be at home, and know your safe spot at work too, because we're talking about a storm threat that comes through while most people are at work, 9 a.m. till about 2 or 3 p.m. It's kind of prime time for people at work or maybe going out to lunch and that kind of thing. So know your severe plan, know your safe spot at home, at work, and your children are already going to have a safe spot that they know and that teachers and administrators know at school.
Yeah, and as I said, now is the time to think about it. And this is a great conversation because it gets people thinking, where would I go? Because if you have to go, you just don't have time to implement the plan, put the plan together. Right. It should already be together up here, and share it with the rest of your family as well. So people are not running around the house. Everybody knows exactly where to go. And we were talking earlier, and I will share, an unfortunate personal situation with the Sanford tornado in 2011. I lost a cousin who was in a modular home. And it just lifted it up, and it was pretty close. It was right next door, actually, to the lady that survived in the bathtub that rode, 150 feet away from her house. But the pressure, the intense low pressure of the tornado, and it was an EF3. It was a strong tornado. Lifted the modular home off the ground, and it essentially exploded. But so if you live in a modular home or a mobile home, as Christian has said very often, get to know your neighbors and just be ready to go seek shelter with them. Never ever is a modular home or a mobile home a safe place to be.
No, and and we've said this a lot over the last couple of weeks, as we head into spring. Last week we had another risk of some severe weather here in the Piedmont, and we said, get those plans together, a good chance to kind of review that with your family and friends and your coworkers too. And this is number 2 over the last week, and as we head into spring, as we go into the beginning of April and through April and May, this is not going to be the last time that we have a risk of a couple severe thunderstorms. The risk may be lower, or the risk may be higher than what we have today, but we'll do this half a dozen, several times, as we go throughout spring. It happens every spring here in the Triad. If you've lived here long enough, you know that, but just kind of a good chance to review those plans. And honestly, for us, when we start to get into severe weather mode last week, it's a good opportunity for us to kind of get in there and remember, this is how we do this, and this is how we do this. So it's a big time of review for everybody.
It's a big learning experience for all of us.
Well, Ed and Christian, thank you so much. Good information there, and our weather team will continue to keep you all updated throughout the day. But right now, we're going to get to some of our morning headlines. Well, Greensboro police are looking for a suspect responsible for robbing 3 food trucks in 24 hours last week. Surveillance video shows moments before the suspect flashed a gun while standing at El Torito Taqueria, in Greensboro on Bessemer Avenue. The person also targeted 123 Tacos about an hour later on Westgate City and El Torito the day prior. Now, if you know anything about these connected robberies, you're asked to contact police. And High Point police are looking for a suspect in a double shooting that happened during a music video filming. Video footage at Pantry Fried Chicken shows people shooting from a car into a crowd of people. The suspect car is a blue older model Nissan Xterra with gray trim. A 22-year-old is recovering in the hospital with injuries to his spine. Another person was injured but was not located or identified.
A Triad firefighter is now recovering at home. He was released from the hospital just yesterday. Ross Flint was one of 2 people injured at a shooting at the Kermit Hot Dog House last week. Flint was discharged and cheered on by his fellow firefighters. The 2 suspects connected to the shooting are in police custody. The State Department of Public Safety is holding a hiring event in Lexington today. The job fair is at the North Piedmont Correctional Services Department on Raleigh Road from 9 a.m. until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Same-day interviews could lead to an offer, and you could get hired on the spot.
Well, just 2 days until Duke and UNC face each other again on the hardwood. Both Duke and UNC are now in New Orleans preparing for the Final Four on Saturday. And what a game it'll be. The state's biggest rivals going head to head for the first time in tournament history. So whether you're heading to a watch party at either school or here in Greensboro, we've got you covered for March Madness. Our teams are on the road now to bring you all the behind the scenes content from New Orleans. We'll also be live in Durham and Chapel Hill on game day. So watch their comprehensive coverage on our website or the March Madness section of our YouTube page, and be sure to stay up to date by downloading our free WFMY News 2 app.
Well, get this, only 3% of men's college basketball brackets had North Carolina in the Final Four. One Carolina superfan didn't wait until the tournament to secure his tickets to this weekend's historic event, and clearly that paid off. Michael Moore is a die-hard Carolina fan who's been going to UNC games since he was a child. Last April, he applied for the ticket lottery for this year's Final Four, and he was selected to get the seats.
Kind of forgot about it because we paid for them back in April of last year, and it was September, and we found out we were selected, and I was just so ecstatic.
Well, at the time, of course, he didn't know who'd be in the Final Four. Turns out his Tar Heels are right there against Duke tomorrow, Saturday night. And he's sharing his experience with his son.
It's almost a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Man, I can't explain how exciting. We're such a Carolina family, and to be able to share it with my son is a really great experience.
It's so exciting to see that his family gets on the court right there with the players. I mean, taking pictures is pretty awesome. Moore and his son arrive in New Orleans today.
And the Moore family is definitely in for a memorable game this weekend. And in the Good Morning Show, we asked you all to send your best Duke or UNC game memories. Here's what some of you all are saying so far. One viewer said, after all the years, my favorite one just happened. Carolina beating Duke for Coach K's last home game. Go Heels. And Carol said in 2020, Wendell Moore caught the missed shot and had a putback in last seconds at Carolina. Go Duke. Well, very excited. I'm sure there's just so many memories and excitement, especially for those cheering for their favorite teams out there.
Yeah, so Christian shared a story earlier about how he decided he was going to go down and meet some players and the coach and just, walked his little self down there. This is when he was a child, by the way. And just a commanding respect you had from the
I didn't even have to get a VIP pass to go do that. I just acted like I owned the place, and if you act like you know what you're doing, then
well, that's the key. That's the key. You acted like, hey, I'm supposed to be here. And everybody thought, well, he's supposed to be here, so we're not going to bother him.
Yeah, real quick. So my brother and my dad and I went to a Carolina game, always been Carolina fans. And during the halftime, I somehow wondered, I just kind of got up and walked away and wandered myself down all the way to the court. And halftime was ending. The players come out of the locker room and they start warming up for the second half. And I'm standing out there on the court next to the ball rack, and I just pick the basketballs up and start handing them out. And that was the Sean May era, the Raymond Felton era.
Wow.
I guess the Tyler Hansbrough, Rashad McCants era. So I was just tossing out basketballs. They're like, hey, thanks. And I was like, oh, hey. They were so tall. And then my dad said that he looked, and he's like, oh, my gosh. He said, there's Christian. How did he get down there? Oh, my gosh. And nobody ever asked me to leave. I guess I got done, and I was like, okay. I just kind of wandered off and went back to my seat.
Yeah. Years ago when I was in Wilmington, I had the great fortune to go to the ACC tournament in Charlotte that particular year. You're talking about looking up at these players. You notice that they're tall when you're watching on TV, but that was during the era of Christian Leitner.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, I had one of these press passes, so I could go anywhere. So I loved it. Yeah, this was a long time ago, but it has great memories. And Christian Leitner walked by, and it's like, oh my.
Yeah.
You stand beside, I stand beside this guy.
I was going to say, I'm
And
tall,
I think
but
I'm
that's
a
a different
shorty.
kind of tall.
Oh, that's a different kind of tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, put a red light on that. We don't want the planes to hit you, okay?
Also, like a twig compared to those guys, they could just break me in half with two fingers.
Yeah. Incredible.
Well, now you could probably walk on to Carolina's team. You're tall. You got skills.
Look at you.
So I mean, I'm sure it's hard to be a walk-on on any of these ACC teams, but maybe you would have gotten a scholarship.
Yeah. Well, he could use another thing as well. It's like,
that?
I'm Christian Morgan, meteorologist at WFMY,
Top
and they say,
He'll
you
get
can
straight
go
through the
anywhere
door.
you want to go.
Yeah, okay. I'll stick to weather.
Top billing.
Well, Jessica said Duke all the way. My dad loves UNC. So many memories growing up, having to battle it out with my dad. I haven't watched the game in years. I may visit my dad for this game.
Awesome. Our Brian is really going in here on Duke. He's a Carolina fan, but he shared one of his favorite Duke moments was that the game that Zion, who was, you know, Duke's like all-star player a few years back, obviously in the pros now, he said he busted out his shoes that day, that his Nikes like busted, like they literally exploded on the court. He was injured, and you know there was a lot of fallout over that. Like, how did that happen? But
There were so many memes about that shoe blowing out too for so long.
it was actually something I've never seen before. I don't think it happens often. So the fact that our Brian remembers that, not for that reason, but because it was Duke. Is a Carolina jab. I get it. I get it.
Brian probably also remembers, I don't know what game or what year it was, but I would say it's probably been within the last 6, 7, 8 years. I remember Coach K got really mad on the sidelines, or on the side court there, and took that Expo marker he had and launched that thing across the court. And after that, there was a Twitter account that was created for Coach K's pin, and there were a bunch of social media accounts that were created for his pin.
Oh, okay. You were getting some other comments here. Oh, you read Jessica's, which was really good. And then Joanne says she's going for UNC since her beloved Kentucky is not in the Final Four.
Oh, Kentucky.
And then had a little back and forth about Duke's loss to UConn in the national championship.
Oh, boy.
So it seems as though there might be a few more Carolina fans on the feed today. Although Bobby Odom, who is a diehard Duke fan, said earlier on the feed, before even saying anything else, he said, "I'm going to stay quiet today."
Okay.
And sometimes that could be, a very good tactic. When you feel confident, you don't have to explain yourself. You're just like, you know what? I'm just going to let the guys handle it on the court. Maybe that was just a sign of confidence. I don't know. It all happened Saturday. So, this conversation on Monday morning is going to be wild.
For the books. For the books.
I'm sure somewhere this has been thought of or has been researched, but I got to thinking, now that we're talking about this, just in the state of North Carolina, do you think there are more Carolina fans or do you think there are more Duke fans? Just in our state.
Personally, I think that there are more Carolina fans. I think so.
Girls?
But I'm not sure.
From the people I associate with and talk with, they're more Carolina fans. But I do have at least a handful of diehard Duke fans.
Yeah.
But not as many as I have Carolina fans. And that's probably because a lot of my family members went to Carolina for school. So that could be why, or watched Carolina really closely growing up.
It seems to me like in our state, just in the state of North Carolina, I do think there are more Carolina fans. But as you go up into Virginia and further up north, you start to find more Duke fans, is what it seems to be. I wondered if anybody's actually, over the course of this week, since we're talking about it, if anybody's ever actually dug into the numbers or maybe done a survey on that.
Yeah.
Well, Mark Johnson has typed on our feed and he said, "Go Duke." So now Duke getting some love. Bobby, you don't have to do it all by yourself. There are Duke fans on this feed. Not our Brian, though. He says there are more UNC fans.
Well, Pauletta says, "Go Tar Heels." Angel says, "Go Tar Heels," making up for the more UNC fans there.
Well, we will see how it all breaks down. Again, all of the tournament action will be covered by our crews in New Orleans, and we will have the very latest for you in all of our social media pages. They're even doing blogs out there. WFMYnews2.com is the place to go for all of that. And of course, we'll keep you updated here on air as well. All right, updated on the forecast as well as we head out. Ed Matthews, there are a few things we want to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Stay weather aware today. We've had a nice conversation this morning about safe places that you can go. Make sure you know where you can go to stay safe. If there are any severe weather watches or warnings, we'll let you know. That line of showers with probably just a little thunder and lightning and maybe a few pockets of heavy rain moving through the mountains and foothills now. now approaching the Triad, the leading edge just beginning to work in the Triad. So your backyard will start to get some rain probably within the next hour or so. No severe weather at the moment, but with strong upper level winds associated with this strong cold front, a severe thunderstorm warning, or maybe even an isolated tornado warning, certainly a possibility. And we have to stay on top of it because we are in the slight risk area. All of the WFMY News 2 viewing area, that is level 2. That goes all the way down into eastern North Carolina. The time frame, 9 o'clock this morning through about 3 p.m. this afternoon. And Christian, I think the peak of the activity here in the Metro Triad will probably be around 10, 11, 12 noon, right around the lunch hour here in the Triad. And of course, Christian and I will be glued to the radar all morning long, and we'll let you know if any warnings pop. Now, as we check our 7-day, all of this is going to be east of the Triad late this afternoon and through the evening. The front will move offshore, high pressure builds in, environmental winds, and I'm talking about large-scale winds over the entire area, may gust between 35 and 45 miles per hour. We've already had this morning near 40 mile per hour wind gust, and so we'll keep an eye on that. And still a windy day tomorrow with 30 mile per hour wind gusts, but the system will be long gone. And are you thinking about the weekend? I am. I hope you are as well. It's going to be nice. Saturday and Sunday look to be nice and dry, partly sunny. We're looking at mid-60s on Saturday, upper 60s on Sunday. Our next chance of rain will hold off until late Tuesday, more likely into the day on Wednesday in the new week.
All right, I'm looking forward to a warmer day without the threat of storms. So it looks like Monday is my day.
Yes.
All right, thanks so much for joining us here on After GMS. We, of course, are going to keep you updated throughout the day online and on air. If any severe storms pop up, you'll know about it first on the News 2 app. Take care, everybody.